What's up, dudes and dudettes? We're going to be talking about this new spreadsheet that I made today. Before we get started, make sure if you want to use this, you go up here and you make a copy, and then you actually make the copy. If you don't make a copy, you won't be able to use the spreadsheet. All these cells will not be accessible. You'll not be able to type into it. So just make sure you do that, and you might want to come back every, I don't know, now and then and check on the state of the main sheet. If I make any changes to it, your copy won't reflect those, so you have to make a new copy and whatever. That's just the way that this sort of thing works. I can't do anything about that, sorry. But anyway, I'm gonna let me continue talking now. This is what I have been working on for like, I don't know, 2 days or something. I made a spreadsheet that calculates some stuff. It's not feature complete yet. There's definitely more I want to add to it, but I also just kind of wanted to get its current state out into the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. Damn, that spreadsheet looks beautiful, aka it's ugly, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not a graphically inclined individual. I do maths. I don't do making things look pretty. It looks fine, you know, it's fine, whatever. But the way the sheet works is all the green little cells is the stuff you as the user modifies. So you can, like, you know, change your speed to 200 and it changes some calculations and stuff like that. But yeah, all the green cells are the ones you modify. You can change your mood, you can change your style, you can change your aptitudes, that sort of thing. It also calculates like your recoveries and stuff like that. So it has the stamina calculator in it, and it'll use based on how many recovery skills you have, if you have a unique, and what your wit is and stuff like that, to calculate your expected recovery over here, which is, you know, however much HP or whatever, and how much stamina equivalency it is, which is mostly just like how much stamina would you need to get this much HP, that kind of thing. This is all updated like dynamically, so this chart will change. So if you have like 5 white skills, this changes, and then how much recovery you're expecting to get and stuff like that. The recovery skill section over here is the probability of each outcome. So if you add all of these, it'll go to 100%. But like, so, you know, you can take like the top however many, and you'll get a good estimation of how many skills will proc. And then if you bring it all the way down to, you know, you only have one skill, then it'll just give you essentially it'll just give you your wit chance, right? Your skill chance procking, which is 77.5 at 400 wit. And then it has stamina equivalents. Below this, you don't have to change anything here because it changes based on your stats. It tells you how much, you know, 100 wit helps you in terms of stamina, and then how much 1 gold recovery would do and how much 1 white recovery would do. You can look at this as an HP equivalency too, because, you know, stamina is HP, that sort of thing. And something like wit here is a better comparison to stamina than HP anyway, because if you train wit, you're not training stamina. So if you train 100 wit, it's equal in terms of HP as training 17.5 stamina. Or for this combination of skills, right? If you have more skills, this number gets better, because you're increasing the proc chance of all the skills you have. So depending on how many skills you have, makes getting more wit better. Then we have this little section, which is definitely going to be extended. I don't know, maybe I'll even put it on its own sheet or something. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this bad boy, but this is team trial scoring. So it looks at your skill activation chance and then the number of skills you have, and it looks at your Uma's unique. Your Uma's unique is not affected by your skill proc chance, so it's over here in the scoring. But if you have a 3-star Uma that's level 5, your unique gives you 2500. Whereas if your Uma's star 1 and unique 1, it's only 1500. But then this uses the proc chance calculation for your skills and like proper statistics to figure out how much points you're getting on average from these skills based on your wit. And then down here, it's the average team trial scoring equivalent. So how many points you would get in scoring if you increased a white skill, or, you know, got one more white skill, got one more gold skill, or got 100 more wit. So you can see here that wit's a very bad stat for points. 100 wit only gets you 200 more points. Getting a white skill would be more valuable. And then at the very bottom here, we have some training stuff. This is like this probably will also be its own thing at some point. It's a very basic, like, how efficient is wit training in terms of energy restore and stat gain and stuff like that. The biggest takeaway from this is that wit training is really good at inflating your stats, right? So if I put the stat weighting at 1 for wit, then wit training efficiency is very high because it's getting you energy, which you can use to train regular stats, but it's also getting you wit, which is actually just a stat. So it counts towards your Uma's score at the end of career. But in terms of like actual power or making your Uma better, I don't weight wit very highly, so I added this weighting here. You can change this to whatever you want it to be for whatever purpose you have for it. But yeah, and then you have the stamina calculator at the bottom, where it actually does the race leg calculation, HP costs, that sort of thing. And then it gives you your effective HP and things down here. Let's see if I can make this happen real quick. All right, there you go. If your remaining HP ended up below 50, this cell will go red to kind of tell you, hey, your HP's kind of low. Some bad stuff might happen. If you get debuffed or something, you'll definitely end up running out of stamina, that sort of thing. But yeah, so that's like the basics of the sheet. If you want to look at the actual math, like, you can see the formulas are actually, they actually make sense. You could read them, which I think is good if you want to maybe learn how this stuff works, or if you want to make changes to the sheet yourself. It's easy to figure out what's happening in each of the calculations. All right, so now that I gave the general overview of what the sheet does and all that, let's mess with some numbers and actually see it working. So I guess first things first, let's change the race length. Make sure for race length you put in real numbers. If I just put this as like 30,000, it breaks the whole sheet because base speed goes negative. So, you know, make sure you put in a real number. I don't have any verification on any of these text boxes. If you put in some number that's bad, the sheet will not tell you that you fucked up, but you will have. So make sure your numbers make sense. So yeah, 3600 is the longest race that you can run currently. But when we did that, you see remaining HP went negative because we don't have enough stamina and recovery skills to run this race. So if we change this to 1200, our HP is now positive, but it is scarily close to 0. If we change our wit, this will go up because our recovery skills became more reliable. This also decreased our rushing chance, which lowered the stamina drain from it. This number right here, the max HP in the middle leg, is where I add the rushing. So it changes like ever so slightly, but rushing really doesn't cost you much HP at all, so it's barely even worth looking at. But like I said, this made our recovery better, and you can actually look at this in the table. At 400 wit, the recovery probability of each like combination of skills is pretty equally distributed. It's not equally, but it's a pretty wide curve. Whereas if this is at 1200, the curve narrows a lot. So this is like 95% of the outcomes are these three instead of being like 6 possible outcomes or whatever. And this makes the average outcome a lot higher and more reliable. Over 75% of outcomes is at least 14% recovery. Whereas at 400, it's much lower. You'll see it goes down to like 8, even down to 7 at 4% probability. So the lower your wit, the larger your potential range of outcomes is within, you know, a given probability curve, blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing to think about. Well, what wit does, especially for like longer races where you need your recovery to go off, otherwise you will die. This is especially bad in like a 3600 race. These are very long and you cannot survive these without recovery skills. If I get rid of my recovery completely, we're very much in the red. These are unsurvivable without recovery. So even at 1200 stamina. This would actually change as well with guts and stuff. Guts would actually help HP a lot here. So that is another way to slightly increase your survivability in longer races. But you're probably better off just relying on recovery and then making sure you have good other stats and stuff like that. And as race distance goes up, you can see in the stamina equivalence chart, like these numbers went up here because of how HP is calculated. The longer your race, the better the stamina equivalence wise recovery is, and even wit is. If we change like some of your aptitudes here, like race distance and stuff like that, so even increasing race distance to S actually hurt our HP. And the reason for that is because you're running faster, you're burning more HP and stuff like that. So all of these play into all the calculations. You can also look at running style and how it affects your HP and stuff like that. You might think that something like late surger is best for running long races because it has the highest style modifier for remaining for HP, but the reality is that front runner is actually the best because they don't run hard during the last phase. They are the slowest runner in the last phase, so they end up burning the least amount of HP in the last phase. So they're actually the most HP efficient runner. Pace Chaser is still the worst. But yeah, Late Surger is second best, End Closer's third, and then Pace Chaser is actually the worst. But Front Runner is actually the most HP efficient runner in the game, just because, like I said, they don't run hard in the last leg. So they end up burning the least amount of HP in the last leg, even though they have 5% less HP than a Late Surger would. You can also look at like, so we can look at the team trial scoring, right? So if I go to 600 wit, it's not 6, that's 5. If I go to 600 wit, you can see the value of more wit has gone down substantially from 400. It was 220 and now it's 105. And then, you know, 700 goes even farther down, 800. But as wit's going up, the actual value of gaining more skills is going up because you have a higher chance to activate them. So the real takeaway here is like, skills are always good to get for scoring. You should always be trying to get the most number of skills that you can activate. That's the big takeaway there. You need to be able to activate the skills that you're taking for you to get points off of it, right? If your character's running Pace Chaser and you are picking up Front Runner skills, you know, it does nothing because you can't activate them, so they don't give you points. And this also only calculates skills that run off of skill activation. So if you get a green skill that is always going to proc, like let's take the same example, you're a Pace Chaser. If you take Pace Chaser Savvy, that always activates as long as you're running Pace Chaser. So it always gets you 500 points. If you put a second point in it, it's still only 500 points because it doesn't change the number of skills that are activating. But yeah, this only looks at skills that you can activate. Like I said earlier, unique always activates as long as the conditions are met. So it doesn't look at this. This calculates that for you and just tells you how many points it's going to get you. But we can see, you know, and as your skills go up, the number of skills you have, wit actually becomes more valuable. So if you have like 2 and 7, then wit's slightly more valuable. If you have a lot of golds, then wit's really valuable. I don't think you're going to have this many golds on one character. I don't know realistically how many skills people have on their characters. But yeah, you can put in your numbers and it'll calculate it for you, and then you can make decisions based on what the sheet spits out to decide how you want to raise your ubas. But yeah, I think that'll be it for this. Gives you the rundown of how to run the sheet. There's like some more sheets in the back here, but these are just like calculation sheets. If you want, you can go look at all the calculations and stuff, but there's nothing down in here for you to input or look at. A lot of them are also just like charts that the sheet is then pulling values from. So yeah, there's not that much going on back here, and this is how this gets populated. If I change the numbers, stuff happens back here. But you don't have to, again, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. It's just calculation stuff on the back end of the sheet. But yeah, that's it. Thanks everybody for watching. Please, if you have any feedback on the sheet, things you think it should have, things you think are maybe bad or good, or, you know, whatever your feelings are, please let me know in the comments or on my Discord or whatever. But yeah, like I said, thanks everybody for watching, and I will catch you all later. See ya.